Okay, so quick question. Does anyone remember Grimoire of Zero? You know, it's that one light novel anime. It was about a witch named Zero and her mercenary trying to stop a war between witches and humans. Really? None of you? It had the sexy Borrow White Tiger dude. Oh, so now you remember it, you degenerates. My point is that I just remembered this series exists, so now it's your problem too. Anyways, like any normal dude, I started with episode 1, The Witch and the Beast Fallen. Right away, I kinda like the premise. In this world, the kingdom of Westalis is in the midst of a war with witches. Oh god, too many W's. A war that has been getting worse since witches have stopped using sorcery and are now using magic. Which is like quick casting in FF14, or maybe not. I've never actually played Final Fantasy XIV, I'm going off of what a friend told me. In this world, there's also the Beast Fallen, which are people who are cursed with an animal-like form. Their cursed form makes them valued by witches, and their love for vor, tendency to eat people, makes them hated by normies. It ties into some overarching themes about systemic oppression and societal issues. Thankfully, they don't press X to sit at the back of the bus, but that's not to say they handled it any better than Detroit Become Human. It introduces the main character, a mercenary I'll call Yohei because I'm not a filthy dub watcher.
I'm afraid I wouldn't taste very good.
Well now, I thought you were game for dinner, but you're...
Or maybe I am a filthy dub watcher. And a witch named Zero, who's revealed to be the one who created magic with her Grimoire of Zero. Because Homedog was the one who created magic, she's able to basically deny anyone else the right to use it. Remember this, cause it's important later. She does this against the little blonde bitch boy named Albus, who's another main character. He's supposed to make us sympathetic with the witches in the war, bringing in echoes of an oppressed minority group. Again. So that makes 2 in this show. Really hoping they don't fuck this up. As a group, they're fine. The dynamics are exactly what you'd expect. Yohei's the normal one, Zero is aloof but pragmatic, and Albus is the beta cuck. The young and naive one. With her main trio now conjoined at the hip like Siamese twins, or well, triplets, let's immediately blow past a few episodes. That's because Grimoire of Zero is one of those animes that gets off on the wrong foot. The first few episodes aren't bad per se, and they're definitely enjoyable parts of them, they're just, not very interesting. Episode 2 is the most boring of the bunch, just setting up how it was the burning of Soriana at the stake that started the war. There's a neat moment where we get to see how a tracking spell works, but again, that's a tool we'll use later, so it doesn't mean much now. Episode 3 is more of the same, but it managed to be kind of funny, but in a way I'm not sure I can show on YouTube. Not only is there this moment at the gate, but there's also this weird shopkeeper, and
Thank you so much!
Simping for Zero? Gross. But if it was Yohei though... Wait, is this mic still on? The meat of this episode is this wolf guy, who I thought was a coyote, called Hold'em. The main conflict is around his women slaves. What is with light novels and having slavery? If I had a nickel for every time I've seen it in a light novel anime, I wouldn't need to have a Ko-fi or Patreon. Wink wink. To make a long episode short, the good guys beat him up and free his slaves, and there's actually this kind of cute scene with Yohei and Zero in the bath. This isn't an ecchi anime, so nothing weird happens, but once again, this scene is important for later. Man, I'm really getting good use out of that. The first 5 episodes, keep in mind that there's only 12, are honestly really bland. It's like British food. It's not really as bad as it looks, but it's missing a special spice to make it worth eating. If you're a furry, that special spice can be Yohei, but if you're not, you're gonna be in for a long, boring trip. That's because the first 5 episodes are solely focused on setup. Like, for example, do you remember that tracking spell? Do you also remember that weird shopkeeper guy? Well, when the good guys need to find Zero, they end up coming back to the guy who bought our clothes to buy them back and do the spell. This is just one example of Grimoire of Zero's greatest strength. The story it tells is super tight. Everything mentioned at the beginning is relevant to the climax, the only problem is that you have to get over all the setup. Episode 4 is probably the biggest hurdle because it's just so blah. It has low stakes and is one of those nice feel-goody episodes, but like nothing really happens until the end where they come across a slaughtered village. Moving on to episode 5, the crew goes through the dead town, learning that it was attacked by a wizard who could turn people into clothes. Oh my god! The crew ends up getting summoned by this clothed magician, and he's called 13. In episode 6, 13 and Zero fight but are broken up by the dinner bell, and there's exposition, yada yada yada. 13 is basically a cop wizard fighting the evil terrorist wizards. Beta Cuck disagrees and goes to the dungeon. 13 whispers sweet nothings in Yohei's ear and turns him against Zero, and now we have completely separated the party. And now we finally get to all that payoff the first half of the show set up. And it's honestly really nice to see a bunch of tiny details add up into something bigger. You remember Serena the Witch and Hold'em the guy? Well, in episode 7, we learned that they were bros, and Hold'em was tasked with protecting Serena's granddaughter, Albus. So that boner wasn't gay. And remember that time Yohei was in the bath? Well, Zero actually did put a spell on him that forces his wounds onto her, which interrupts her fight with 13. Episode 8, while not paying off any setup, is good because we're allowed to finally see these characters in the throes of action as they rescue Albus. It's kind of crazy that we only get the action now. That's 7 whole episodes focused on slow build-up and exposition. Episode 10 is probably my favorite because not only do we get the reunion between Zero and Yohei, something I'll talk about later, but we also get the payoff for that part way at the beginning where Zero denies the use of magic. The good guys formulate a plan to do that on a countrywide scale to get rid of magic and stop the war. It's phenomenal storytelling, establishing a minor rule that is later used for a major purpose. It makes it easy and satisfying for the audience to be able to follow along to the entire plot. Episode 11 and 12 aren't really built upon these large payoffs, instead the enjoyment comes from seeing all these characters interact. I won't get into the plot of episode 11 and 12 because I've already spoiled enough as it is, and it's mostly just payoff for character arcs. Seeing the character arcs reach their conclusion is surprisingly good because the characters in Grimoire of Zero are surprisingly well written. Yohei, Zero, Albus, Hold'em, and 13 bounce off each other really well due to their dissident personalities. Yohei's a stereotypical gruff mercenary. His are concerns getting past that tough outer shell to the soft heart of gold. Albus's naivete gets replaced by this desire to make the world a better place that he learns from Zero. Hold'em, when he's not being a slaver, seriously, I'm not getting over that, has a father-like protectiveness of Albus and a brotherly camaraderie with Yohei. 13 is defined by responsibility, doing all of this to create what he thinks is Zero's ideal world, but accepting responsibility for his actions and trying to set things right. Yohei and Zero, being the two main characters, have the strongest relationship. Seeing Yohei gradually grow closer to Zero is good, and his betrayal stings like a scorpion. The scene where they reunite and make up is actually my favorite moment in the story. It's a scene that's a lot like when Ichigo first tried to rescue Rukia in Bleach. The rescuee doesn't want to be helped due to the danger it'll put the rescuer in, but the rescuer soldiers on due to the bond they share. It's just really cute. Sue me. Sadly, all of the side characters have nothing on our main protagonist. Most of them are beyond forgettable. The biggest example are these two, who take over as the main antagonist after 13 joins the good guys, and I don't think they have names. Okay, listen, if I have to go to the goddamn wiki to find the name of your antagonist, you messed up. The only side character I really remembered is the clothes shop guy, and that's because he's, funny. And that whole theming around oppressed minority groups kind of disappears towards the end. The most we get from it is some vague note about Albus creating a Hogwarts school for witchcraft and wizardry or something. While that's not a good thing per se, it is much better than watching it fumble the ball. Not now, Beastars, I'll complain about you later. I mean, I could get to it sooner if you want me to keep this going and make this a series. Why not leave a comment down below and stuff? Wink wink. That being said, I do like Grimoire of Zero. The characters are good and everything past episode 7 is just peak fiction. The only problem with reaching that peak is that you have to climb up the show's first half. It's no wonder I never managed to finish it when it first came out. Overall, Grimoire of Zero is like a backwards pizza. The most boring but necessary part to keep the entire thing together is front-loaded in the beginning, but after that, you can get to the good stuff. Now it's time for Patreon shoutouts. For 3 stars, we have 87 Werehog, Deku, Zora Chow, Choron, Garen Lefay, Dragon King Yara, and Kayun. For 4 stars, we have Miki Moon and Unknown RC, who can hear the call of the wild. For our Super D-Tuber special 5-star shoutouts, we have first Vanilla Flower, who's in a far country. Then Poor Mage, the man on the trail. Next, Sky King 64, the god of his fathers. Finally, Mahaugasaur, the White Fang. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, this is Rose Fury signing out.